Miscellaneous Knowledge and Company podcast. This is your host, Carson Fuller.
And I'm your co-host, Chase Hoyt.
And apologies on our behalf. Last week we were both a little under the weather, so that's why there wasn't any uploads. Yeah, that's another story in and of itself, but we suffered from pretty severe allergies, is long story short. Anyway, moving on from that, we're glad to be back, and we have some exciting news. Chase, how about you start?
So, big strides underway. I got an internship approved. I had my first day today. It was a good time.
All right, and then I guess on to me now. Chase had a job last week, which I'm taking over. These very, very, very wealthy people called the Blooms. They're in a local town called Delancey, and basically they want to build the biggest orchard in upstate New York, and I'm going to be one of their work hands for doing that. Great pay though, $20 an hour, nothing to scoff at. I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 7.5 hours a day of just rigorous manual labor, and holy crap, man, you earn every penny of that $20. Let me tell you,
I bet I will.
No, I used to work in a mechanic's shop. Like, I've done physical labor my whole life, and this was easily the hardest work I've ever done. Because it's just nonstop.
I don't doubt it. Also, I can work Saturdays if I want, but we'll see. Yeah. I think 5 days will be enough for me. I want some free time. But I also am going to have a second job soon. I'm also going to be a farmhand for one of my ex-high school teachers / coaches.
Oh, it's Terry?
Yep, hair leg.
Oh, I love Terry. Yeah, Terry's a German teacher. He was basically my best bro throughout all of high school. This little prodigy.
Yep, great track coach.
Prodigy. Too. Well, he's having mixed reviews currently.
Well, it's about that retirement time. He's probably just looking out the window and like, so close to freedom. And honestly, I would be too, because students have always been bad, but I think the frequency of bad students has just gone up.
Oh my God. Everyone at our old high school has become a crackhead.
Really? Are you still in the loop? Because I kind of lost contact with almost everyone.
So I'm still friends with a lot of juniors and seniors. So I kind of have the in right now on that whole scene. And man, it's gotten bad. Like, people have overdosed in school.
Well, are these the new kids or like old heads?
I don't know how new they are, because I never knew them that well. They were there when I was a senior, though. But no, like, people have OD'd in school.
That never happened with us. Oh my God.
People do acid.
Woo!
In school. Like,
don't do acid, kids.
I was talking to this kid. I won't mention him by name out of respect, but you know him. And
Lord.
He was doing, I don't know, something called CCC. It stood for something. I don't know what it was, but he was like telling me he was like really high. Like, he smoked weed and then did that, and he got really like fucked up off it. And I legitimately do not know what it is, but it sounds like prescription. I think,
viewers out there, if you know what CCC is, please leave it in the comments. I'm very curious, at least. I've never heard of CCC before, but goddamn, wow, really?
Yeah, dude, the crackhead is exploding. Like, our schools.
I mean, there was Craig. Craig was always a crackhead, though.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, I feel like it's just gone off the deep end. Like people have always been kind of crackheads outside of school.
Yeah.
Like, there's been some whack kids through DA, but I don't know of anyone who's ever like OD'd.
Yeah.
During our time there, or like.
At least not on like school time.
Yeah.
Damn. What I was gonna say is, the worst thing that ever happened was someone getting caught smoking weed in the bathroom. You know who I'm talking about. Actually, there were a couple of cases of that, but the prime suspects, I'm not going to name them because that'd be a little fucked up. But, we know who they are.
Yeah.
And they're not in a good place now.
Oh god.
Moral of the story is, kids, just be smart.
Like if it seems like a dumb idea, it probably is.
Yeah, more than likely is.
Also, man, why y'all gotta do so many drugs?
Bruh, like, it's not that hard to just take 10-hour block of your day, go through school. If you really gotta do it on your own time. Go home, whatever. Most powerful drug isn't drugs. It's willpower.
That's... Damn.
Right?
That's some...
Drop some knowledge.
I didn't realize I was on a podcast with Nietzsche.
Oh my god.
No alcohol, only water and milk.
Yo. Milk's good, boy. Makes my bones strong.
Yeah, well, lactose intolerant me will just suffer without it.
Yep. Yes, you will.
I'll rub it in.
Anyway, yeah, I'm starting this orchard job tomorrow. Pretty excited. I was supposed to start yesterday, but bad weather prevented that from happening.
Yeah, basically since it's literally all outside, if there's like storm or rain, you can't do much. Like what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like if it's raining, you don't need to water the trees.
True.
Like,
Mother Nature takes care of that. But anyway, Chase, what about your job, your new job, the internship? Tell us about that.
so it's with the planning board, an environmental department for our county.
Delaware County.
Delaware County, New York. Basically what we do is we go out and we map streams that feed into the rivers, that feed into the reservoirs, which are the water supply for New York City and downstate. And so the idea is that we go up and we look for like erosion, invasive species, potentially harmful or limiting things, because obviously New York City is a big place and it needs a lot of water. So if the streams that feed the river are blocked or are eroding or in other ways like damaged, it's really important that gets noted, because if there are really like dangerous things in the water or that could get into the water, we need to make note of that so the appropriate people...
Or if the streams are drying up.
That's also true. Like, a big thing is like noting where deposits are and, you know, where the stream levels are, erosion, things like that, because, you know, it's important to know where the streams are because they change course. And then furthermore, the last big thing is making sure that the relevant infrastructure for the streams are in good condition. Like today, there's a big pipe, right? One of those big pipes that go under people's properties.
Yeah.
That feed the stream underneath it. It was probably 7 or 8 feet in diameter, so it was a big one.
Wow.
And the exit pipe, right? Yeah. The side that exited was all crinkled and really damaged. And so, you know, it wasn't...
You make note of that, yeah?
Yeah, we have to make note of, like, the condition of the infrastructure because, you know, if that pipe was failing or leaking and eroding the ground underneath it, that could be hazardous to the person's driveway. Or if it's near a road, it could be hazardous to the road because that erosion can creep under, like, the...
Or the stream itself.
Yeah, it's like, that can creep under the pipe, under the road, under the bridge, and start eroding it and cause faulty infrastructure. That can cause danger to people's lives. That can cause damage in terms of money. It's a lot more expensive to completely replace and rebuild a bridge than it is to refurbish it. And it's also a danger to the stream because, you know,
metals in the stream.
Yeah, you can add pollutants.
Or is it metal? Is it metal?
Yeah, it's a corrugated steel.
Okay.
Stainless steel. So
some pipes, you know, are like PVC or whatever.
Yeah, no, and it's really important that all of that gets noted, just because pollutants, it could block the stream. Like if a large enough thing, like if it's dirt and rock above the pipe,
yep,
and it erodes and collapses, it can completely block the stream for a period of time. And that is not good for the water supply. Because every little bit counts is the idea. And
going off of that, every little bit counts. This may seem a little boring to some of you listening, but really, Chase's job in particular, just as a relevant and staying on topic example right here, it's very important that we note what's going on in nature, especially when it has to do with us, because this is water supply that many people in this state, and maybe even some other states,
New Jersey.
Yep, metropolitan area of New York City, they're affected by this. So what may not seem connected by hundreds of miles, like hours and hours away, really is. You just gotta, it's all the small details that really count.
Yeah, like, this is stuff that, like, I have family in New York City, and, you know, they wouldn't even think about, like, this kind of work, but it's still important nonetheless. Because a lot of the big rivers and stuff, all of the big stuff has been mapped. It's noted, it's known. But all of the little streams and tributaries and brooks and creeks and all of that run...
Underground water?
Springs, we have to make note of all the springs and stuff. All of that is really important to take note of because that is what's feeding the river.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, actually, another big thing, speaking of the importance of making note of little things, is like, we also take note of what are called mass failures.
Okay, all right.
Which is literally when, like, the hillside gets so eroded that the mass fails and it causes, like, a little landslide.
Ooh.
So trees, all of that gets uprooted, and that's important to note as well because that type of stuff, you know, if there's power lines or infrastructure in the area, it can damage that, right? And, you know, of course it provides more blockage to the stream. It's important to note, like, how the landscape changes for that reason.
Going off of that, you mentioned power lines. My job before this summer for the past 2 years, I worked for the Delaware County Electric Co-op, and it's one of the main power suppliers of our county and a couple of counties surrounding us. And what I did, at least, was go around under all the power lines through the woods. I mean, I was in the sticks, like, really, really deep. And what I do is either trim trees, cut them down, spray some herbicide on these tall plants that could potentially grow and touch the power lines and cause, like, power failures or just catch on fire and cause massive fires. The small things really do count. Like, the things that you don't think about are kind of the most dangerous. Really. But I had a great time working there. Unfortunately, they were cutting positions, so they were cutting down on seasonal help. But I found a new job, That's always good. I'm excited for this orchard job because I love being outside. I love doing stuff, and planting trees, that's awesome. I love nature.
No, you'll definitely get a lot of nature because it's like this glorious combination of large-scale gardening and landscaping. So you'll definitely be outside. You'll definitely be working with your hands. You'll be in nature. And this is a job where you have to sweat the little things.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're talking on a scale of, like, this guy probably owns, like, at least 50 acres.
Nice.
So when you're talking on a scale of that, you know, and planting a fully functional orchard, like, he doesn't want this to be his little pet personal project.
Yeah.
He
wants this to be a business, right?
Yeah, he wants to, like, almost industrialize this. Like, recruit help. He wants to add jobs to the area. Because our area is filled with unskilled labor, or a lot of, like, carpentry, masonry, like, outdoors, hands-on skills. Old vets, stuff like that. Like, my coworker, Anthony, he was, I think, in the Air Force, I want to say.
Was he? You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, he was an engineer in the Air Force. Like, they trained him. He went in to get trained in carpentry and masonry and served, I think, as an engineer.
Nice.
And so, like, it's the perfect job for people like that. And our area has absolutely no shortage of that type of skill work.
That is very true. There's a quite a large dam by us called the East Sydney Dam, and that was actually built by the what was it? The U.S. Army Engineering Corps.
Yeah, Corps of Engineers.
Pretty cool place to go. A lot of locals go there, like, not at the dam, but either above it or below it to catch the just to catch the water, you know, hang out.
Yeah.
Is that where Ben wrecked himself?
Oh, is that what the... That's up by Franklin. There, it leads to the reservoir. Yes,
That's where the dam is.
yeah, that is. Yeah, there's this rope. So the dam is way upstream and it leads into this big reservoir, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reservoir goes by this town called Franklin, which is probably 20-30 minutes from here.
Yeah, I'd say solid 25.
Yeah, 20-30 minutes away from here. And so there's this big rope swing. So basically, off the side of the road, you go down this big hill, and it kind of tapers off to this flat little spot, and there's huge trees all surrounding it. So they set up this big rope swing, and you can obviously take the swing, and you'll go right into, I want to say, like a solid 10 feet of water. You know, it's not dangerous. It's in itself. But what he did was he went there with some people, and what happened was he had a backflop. But he had a backflop from the apex of his swing, which was a solid 10, 15 feet above the water. Oh. And he just, from 10 or 15 feet, he just...
Kid couldn't walk.
Yeah, no, he could barely walk. He had to go to the hospital for internal bleeding. Like, it messed him up.
Moral of this story is, kids, don't be a hero.
He was with, who was he with? He was with Alani and someone else. He was with some girls.
Oh, perfect.
So, don't...
Young studs getting broke.
Say, remember, kids.
And Ben, this Ben is the Ben that has previously guest starred on this podcast. Yeah. We'll annoy him next time when he's on about this incident. Don't worry. We're not just making fun behind his back. He'll know.
Yeah. Well, he does know. Yeah. No, but he's... I'm surprised that happened, because he's very...
Me too. Super athletic. He's nice with it.
Not even athletic, almost acrobatic.
Well, he was a gymnast.
I didn't know that.
Really?
No.
No, he was a gymnast, right up until middle school.
Yeah. No, he's very, well coordinated. He's very athletic. He does, a lot of parkour stuff.
Backflips are his specialty.
Backflips, flips of all kind. Anything that's kind of showy and physical and gymnastic, he is a
but here's
connoisseur of.
Yeah, here's the difference. He's good at it, though. That was a rare case of where he failed.
Yeah.
99.8% of the time, he'll land it. Perfect.
I know. It's just kind of... It's funny, because this goes all back to, sweating the little things. This is something that's so... just taking a rope, swinging yourself, and letting go, and landing it. Yeah. Right? And, that's something you probably didn't even think about until the second he let go and realized where he was.
Oh, I fucked up.
Yeah, no, that's the type of things that...
.jpeg.
No, that's the type of stuff that always, wrecks you. It's the known knowns, the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. And you have to sweat the unknown unknowns.
Yeah, for those that are listening that don't know that quote, it was given by a U.S. congressman, I'd say maybe 1.5 decades now. And, known knowns, you obviously know what you know. Known unknowns, so you don't know some things. And then unknown unknowns. Things that you don't know, that you don't even know. So things that you can't even think about, that you don't know.
It's that's what you have to worry about, because the things that you don't even think about, things that you're not even cognizant of anymore, that can really screw you up. I think there's some statistic out there, and I could be totally wrong about this, that says most people trip over things that they see and cross every day. Because what happens is that's
true.
That little half-inch step up, or that 1.5-inch step up on a doorway, that door that you go through every day to go into the office, or go into your house, you stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's so trivial.
It's routine.
Yeah.
You think because you did this so many times, nothing's going to go wrong the next time. If you only see red apples all your life, and someone brings you a green or a golden apple, you'll be like, "What is that? Did you paint that apple?"
You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So when you go through that doorway, you don't think about it. Something very slight goes wrong, a little misstep can just boom, you're on your face. You're
That's
on
right.
your ass.
Speaking of that, since I didn't work today, I went to a hardcore workout. Our high school strength and conditioning coach, his name is Micaiah Apps. We all call him Coach Apps.
Dr. Apps.
Or Dr. Apps, yeah. Because he'll work you. He'll give you the medicine.
If you're feeling lazy, he's got your cure, kids.
Yeah. But anyway, I went there today. Maybe I should have worked on cardio on the off season because, boy, I had to take a mid-workout pause, and then afterwards I was dizzy, almost seeing stars. Like, my power was there. I could muscle through it, but it was a struggle all the way. So stay in shape, kids. Don't get out of shape.
Yeah, that's where I am right now.
Getting into shape is way harder than the first time. Trust me.
I am so out of shape. I need to fix that. Like, what you said yesterday, you're thinking about going to the track at night?
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta take me.
All right.
I
mean, we can do it right after this.
Didn't you just shower?
Yeah, we don't have to go hard, though.
That's true.
We can just jog it off, you know?
That'd probably be good. Just jog a couple laps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably do that. I have...
Also, kids, the key is pace.
Yeah,
don't
that's
outwork
true.
yourself. That's how you get injured when working out.
Know
yourself.
But whenever people start working out, the biggest problem I see is they either take it too easy or they go too hard.
It's the extremes.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times people just are like, oh, I'm just going to start by walking. And you know, if maybe if you're really old or you're extremely overweight or something like that,
that's a good step.
That is the right step. But for like the average person, you know, youthful person who's trying to get in shape, the real first step is like start by jogging a lap. Start by jogging like a quarter mile.
Do 10 push-ups when you wake up.
Yeah.
Or before you go to bed.
Yeah. Preferably when you wake up. There's I think it's this Navy SEAL or something. It's like this Army Ranger, Marine or whatever. He like advised people to the first thing they do, wake up and do like 5 or 10 push-ups. Because even though it may not be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, it's like that little like first success.
Volume. If you keep with it too, like you're doing so many push-ups a year.
Not even like volume. It's not about like working out. Like if you do something like 5 push-ups, it's just about like that first little victory of the day. Like the first thing you do is get out of bed and you've already done something positive for yourself.
Very true. My old middle school track coach, actually, Mr. Staples, he recommended to all of us, obviously he couldn't enforce this, but he said, you know, this is very beneficial to your health. When you wake up, when you're out of your bed, like when you're fully with it, 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 squats, and then do your morning routine.
Honestly,
It doesn't take that much time.
No, it doesn't. What I've also seen people do is they'll start at like, you know, you do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 squats. The next day you do 11, 12, and then they'll go all the way up to 50 until like every day they're doing 50 of those just in succession. And it's a great way of pushing yourself because what ends up happening is, you know, maybe you can do 10. All right, 10 isn't bad.
Easy.
11, maybe that's not bad either. But, you know, maybe by the time you get to like 15 or 20, that's hard. But then by the time you get to 21 or 22, all of a sudden it gets a little easier again. And that cycle just keeps repeating and it gives you like these recurring victories, and also you're increasing your strength because, you know, when you started, maybe doing 25 push-ups would have been almost impossible.
There's also
quick succession.
Another good strategy going off that. It's very similar, but not quite the same. So if you're first starting to work out or like you're trying to get back into shape, let's just use 5 as a base. Like you do 5 push-ups. You do 5 push-ups every day until it's super easy. Then you do 6 until it's super easy. 7, then you keep going up.
Yeah, I mean, like...
But that's with any exercise, not just push-ups.
I mean, and that's what I was saying with, like, you know, don't sell yourself short, but also don't hype yourself up too much. You know, and don't expect to know instantly. Like,
look, it takes time.
You know, if you're really out of shape, maybe running a full quarter mile without stopping is really difficult. you know, or maybe you're, you know, in moderately good shape, and that first quarter mile is easy. Like, you can do it without too much of an issue. But the point is to, like, keep experimenting with what you're comfortable with. You know, if you can't do a quarter mile, well, then maybe do half of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, work on that. And then have that quarter mile without stopping be your ultimate goal. Or if quarter mile is easy, you're like, all right, well, quarter mile is easy. Let me do half a mile without stopping.
If you're really, really bad at cardio, do isometric calisthenics. And if you don't know what that is, not really. So an isometric is just a pose that you take. So like a plank is an isometric. A wall sit is an isometric. A sitting squat without the wall is an isometric. So you just pick a pose that's physically difficult and you stay with it. Because you're building up your tolerance. Like, it's not, you're obviously not building up your cardio because you're not expanding your lungs as much, but you're expanding it to a degree where you can hold your muscles tight in a certain position for X amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, that just increases, like, your pain tolerance because, you know, running is kind of painful.
Oh, running is nothing but pain. Let me tell you what. I took a very unhealthy way of looking at exercise when I was in high school and before. I thought, like, hate and pain could fuel me, and it did. It was a really good, like, motivator. But at the end of the day, if you're exercising out of that, you're going to burn out eventually. Yeah. It's a very unhealthy, unstable way to look at it. I mean, unless you're, like, a bottomless well of rage, and I don't know. You can harness that.
You need to see a therapist.
Yeah. But anyway, when I hit my senior track season halfway through, I stopped becoming angry and I became happy because I looked at what I transformed into. I used to be a very sickly, asthmatic kid. I built myself up into a decently athletic, could run a mile in under 5 minutes type of guy.
No, that's
and when I looked at that, I was like, why am I still mad? Like, there's nothing stopping me.
Like, you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no, like...
I got recruited at Plattsburgh, and that's why I went there, to run cross country. And then, this is a story for another day, but didn't like the program, ended up quitting, and then joined rugby. Love rugby.
Still an athlete.
Mm-hmm. That's
what matters. Yeah, I unfortunately, getting recruited at Colgate is a lot more difficult. D1.
Well, yeah, league. I'm just saying, like...
No, I would have loved to keep running track, but I was not nearly good enough. Not remotely.
See, here's the thing, though. You don't have to be good to do it. And I'm not trying to shit on you. I'm just saying, like, people, when they get out of high school, maybe not even when they get out of high school, they decide that, like, athletics isn't for them. Please don't give up. Like, you can do it on your own time. No coach, no anything. You're your own mentor. Do it for fun. Like, training should be an attractor. You should be attracted to wanting yourself to be physically better.
No, and that's kind of what I did. Like, first semester, I really let myself go. And I'll admit, I obviously will admit that. But, like, second semester, I got in the habit of going to the gym every day. You know, it was 45 minutes, you know. Not a lot, but it was good. You know, I'd start with half a mile of biking. Go in, work out whatever I was going to work out, back, buys, or chest and tries, core, all that stuff. And then, you know, finish with another half a mile of biking. Me and buddies would go, you know, friends. So it was like
always good to be squad deep.
Yeah, no, it was camaraderie.
Accountability, too.
Yeah, it's true, because...
Culture.
Yeah, and I actually noticed that when I started distancing myself from that friend group, is when I kind of fell off at the gym, because the reason I fell off is a complicated story. Maybe not complicated, just a disagreement between lifestyles.
And you'll have that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, unless it's they cross the line or you cross the line, like, you can reconcile.
Oh, we're still friends. It was just like they are real heavy into weed, like heavier than you know, smoking recreationally I have no problems with. You know, if you want to smoke weed recreationally, go for it, man. But the it was not even recreational. Like our entire friend group revolved around smoking weed, right? Like literally,
Oh boy.
like nothing could be done without like, oh, we have to smoke first. Nothing, any argument or disagreement was over like weed costs or how weed was getting split up.
Oh.
All of the problems arose from weed, and they were seemingly solved by weed. Right? It was like this weird cycle where everything, our entire friend group, the entire dynamic revolved around weed, the acquisition of weed, and the smoking of weed. And it just got so tiring. I basically quit smoking weed entirely because of that. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm fine with it recreationally. Again, I'm fine with it occasionally. But damn, doing it like upwards of 3 or 4 times a day, just getting so high that like they would just fall asleep.
Damn.
Like it just got so boring and so monotonous that I actually got like really depressed because of it. Like, because my everyday was the exact same thing. Like I lost all my motivation. I was just so tired of everything and like everyone.
See, this is where weed can be considered an addictive drug. It's only addictive if you let it be. Like,
Yeah.
it takes some really, like, weak-ass willpower or just something in the back of your mind that's really fucking with you in your subconscious that you don't want to bring to the light that makes you go to weed constantly. You either just, there's something you don't want to confront, so you push the pain away. Yeah, that's it. There is no or.
Yeah, like, and I just can't even describe, like, the feeling and, like, the situation of it, because, you know, they're great guys, and I love all of them, but the excessiveness of weed and the omnipresence of weed was, like, absolutely numbing and infuriating, because, you know, too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
Yeah.
And, you know,
It's all about moderation, baby.
there's no moderation. You know, hell, they could have smoked every single day, just once a day, like at night, which is what like it used to be for the most.
That's what I'm saying for moderation, though. Like you said, 3 or 4 times a day. Like cut it back.
No, like I was still, I had no problems when it would be like 11 p.m. All the guys would go outside to smoke. You know, I'd come with them just to fucking be there and chill. You know, even if I didn't smoke, like that was fine. But then, you know, one time a day turned into, you know, a couple times a day or multiple times a day, and you know, just, you know, 1 or 2 people smoking a lot turned into like, you know, 3 or 4 or, you know, more. And it just got to the point where like I had absolutely no outs from people revolving their entire day around weed, because, you know, it wasn't like, oh, you know, we just smoke quite a bit. And like everything, all the events, every single thing that we would do would revolve around weed. And it got to the point where...
See, that's unhealthy. That's super unhealthy.
I know, and it got to the point where, like, as a friend group, we would barely do anything because all anyone ever wanted to do was just smoke. And it was like, all right, guys, like, I get it, weed's cool. It makes you feel good. It's funny. It makes you funny and makes food taste good. All that. I get that. But do you really not want to experience literally anything sober? Because it's like kind of concerning and also kind of like infuriating.
See, smoking just to smoke, that's when weed becomes unhealthy. Or that's when you make weed become unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to take a puff or two, like even a full like smoke sesh, just one. Like, you can have an adventure, you can have fun. Like, just don't let weed make you become like a stone. Like an actual stoner. Like, do stuff when you smoke. I'm not endorsing smoking, but I'm not going to stop you guys from doing it. Obviously, I can't. It boils down to this. If you smoke just to smoke, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. I'm not. This isn't personal. It's towards everyone. If you smoke to have fun and like you want to do fun stuff and you want to like expand your mind a little, like think about things from a different point of view or a different perspective, go ahead. If weed helps you do that, please do, because that's actually a healthy aspect of weed. When you can sit down and like relax, giggle, talk about stuff from a different point of view, that's healthy. And you don't need weed for that. You can be dead sober, but if you do need weed for that, go ahead.
Or not even need weed, but just if you find it helps you do that, like the again,
like a facilitator, yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny too because it got to, the weed consumption got to the point where it was actually inhibiting their fun activities. I remember. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I went to see Avengers Endgame with so these girls that I was friends with, because this was about the time that I started branching off.
Yeah.
And so of course a lot of my guy friends were going on the same night, and I remember afterwards I was talking to them, and one of them like fell asleep in the first act and didn't wake up until like almost the end. Like, it got to the point where, like, they were getting so high so often, like, it was literally inhibiting their pleasurable experiences. Because, you know what? Yeah, watching a cool movie can be a great experience high. I'm sure, you know, the people who stayed awake and were high had a blast. But, like, that just goes to show how much they've, like, just kind of lost control over it. And what's even more amazing is that they've gotten in trouble with campus safety quite a bit. And the most amazing thing to me is watching them talk about it. They don't they don't seem to think that it's the frequency at which they smoke that puts them at risk. They blame campus safety. They blame, you know, the people who call them in for noise complaints.
That's what I'm saying. Apathy, like the complete absence of caring.
Yeah, like they just don't.
They don't get it.
Like, they don't seem to think that, like, there's anything that they should do. Like, they forget that, you know, hey, guys, weed is banned on this campus. Weed is illegal, right? And
so it's a problem with the world, not them.
Yeah, and you know, sure, weed should be legal. You know, if you want to smoke weed, you should be able to do that. I think that's very fair. And I think it's fair for them to hold that opinion. But to act like, you know, it's the campus safety officer's fault, like,
no.
they like, if the administration finds out that, you know, they're letting people get away with smoking, especially when people are
they're just going to hire new staff.
They're going to fire them.
Yeah.
Like, they could, the officers could lose their jobs because of that. Especially because, you know, campus safety isn't just on patrol and finding them. Because honestly, when campus safety does that, you know, they might shine a light down on them or just be like, hey, you guys need to get out of here. And it's like, okay, and they just leave. But, like, they get in trouble when they get noise complaints. Because then campus safety can't ignore it because they have a formal complaint. Someone has called them and asked them to
intervene.
Yeah. And it's just this amazing thing where they just don't seem to realize that, you know, hey, maybe if we don't go smoke like 4 times in a night blasting music right outside of someone else's dorm hall, we won't get in trouble. They're like, man, why are the people in the dorm hall gotta be such lamos? Why can't they talk to us about it? You know, it's like, yeah, sure, maybe they should talk to you and ask you to stop first. But you know what? If campus safety coming and busting you and getting you guys in like academic trouble, like they have to go to like alcohol and drug like counseling and stuff like that, if getting in trouble with administration is not going to stop or sway their consumption or their way they use, you know, the girls coming out that were annoyed with them coming out and asking them to stop isn't going to stop them either. Like, the boneheadedness and stubbornness of that is like flabbergasting, you know. And there's a point where I would try to like tell them like, oh, you know, guys, like there's a reason for it, and you know, you guys need to be more cautious, and they just wouldn't hear it. And I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, you are doing something illegal, and the campus safety officers are just doing their job.
Yeah.
So why would you get mad at them? Why would you blame the establishment, man? Because, you know, you're doing it irresponsibly. Like, if people are calling in noise complaints, you're actively disrupting things. And then they go and claim that, like, no, we're like the good smokers. We don't cause trouble.
Obviously not.
Meanwhile, they're getting noise complaints, which is trouble.
Listen, and here's the other issue. A lot of our generation, at least, we're very pot friendly. Like, we know when people are trapping, like, whatever. We're cool with it, but just, like, keep it down a little. Like,
Right.
you don't need to be blaring music. Obviously, it's fun too. Like, I get it. But at the same time, it's not just you. You're not just. It's not your own little world. There are other people that you should be concerned about. That's why I kept saying apathy, because they don't care about other people.
And that's again like the culmination of all of this is why I had to distance myself from them, because it posed a legitimate threat to me. Like I stopped going out, like, because again I stopped really consuming weed because I was just getting tired of it. It was too much for me. But I would still go outside when they would smoke and just hang with my friends. But it got to the point where they would just be so not cautious, so loud, so airheaded about it, that it legitimately represented, guilt by association, threat to me. So I stopped going outside with them. And, eventually it got to the point where I just stopped hanging out with them at all because, you know what, I'm sorry, but I need some, adventure and, experience in my life besides sitting in the exact same common room in the exact same dorm hall with the exact same people who do nothing every single day. Right? Like, that's just so tedious, so boring, so...
No, there are those types everywhere. I know some certain people that are like that, at least. Anyway, we're dragging this on a little far.
Yeah, this is the longest we've ever had to talk for a podcast.
We didn't have to talk. It just kind of flowed naturally.
That's true.
But anyway, thank you for tuning in and listening. We'll see you next time.